Welcome back, chooms. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're gonna be talking about Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.2. Now, the update went live as soon as the red streams were over. Honestly, I expected that this update was gonna be coming out at least on Thursday, but CDPR was actually fast enough to release this update on the 4th anniversary of Cyberpunk 2077 release. I initially started covering the game 8 years ago, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of the support throughout all of these years, because it truly means a lot. Now, without further wasting your time, let's get into the update and its biggest changes. Now, this update was done in collaboration with Virtuous Games, so basically some of the stuff was outsourced to a different developer, which tends to happen a lot because, well, especially if you're gonna be moving all of your main developers into other projects, you're gonna be hiring different companies to help you, release some updates for the game. But also keep in mind that, of course, you still have developers from CDPR who were working on this update alongside Virtuous Games. First things first, we're gonna be going through the biggest changes and features in this update. So Rayfield's CrystalCoat technology, initially designed for Rayfield vehicles only, has now been adopted by other car manufacturers. You can now change the paint jobs on Herrera, Mizutani, Quadra and Villefort vehicles. And this is really cool to see in action because, well, besides having more color schemes for you to play with, you can also check out other vehicles and take the color scheme from them. I think this was a really neat way of just enabling some sort of a customization for vehicles in this game without going too fully and still making it somewhat, of course, somewhat lore friendly, because, well, this technology, by canon perspective, is, well, in the lore and in the game. And I know people were kind of requesting a full vehicle customization, like with tires and everything, but I think that would require too much time. And honestly, right now, as the full support for Cyberpunk 2077 is at its minimal, this is a very, as I said, good way of adding that customization in the game. I also been playing around, just going around town, trying to see like which color schemes I can do, and it was a lot. Also, one of the good things about this is that even if you take the color scheme with the TwinTone, you can also basically change this color up a bit more to suit your own needs and your own style. You can do that by basically aiming your Kiroshi, then switching to TwinTones and taking that color scheme. Also, a very cool option in this game is now that you can fool cops by changing the colors after your wanted level is up. Keep in mind, after you do that, you're not going to completely lose the wanted level, but cops are not going to know exactly where you are. But if you get close to 1, which is usually gonna be coming around every corner until you escape, they're going to see you and the wanted level is going to resume. And I think that this is a very modern cyberpunk way of actually doing this because, before you had pay and spray, but now you're basically having like TwinTone CrystalCoat technology, which is going to fool those cops. And also, one cool addition to the game is now if you go to the Autofixer, you're going to see which cars actually are compatible with CrystalCoat and TwinTone technology, because you're going to see this marker next to the actual brand. And I do like that they expanded this to other vehicles, because I know one of the big topics around like the community was that it was only available for Rayfield, and as soon as that came out, like modders immediately released mods which enabled you to use all of that tech in other vehicles, but now it's being expanded here. And one of the good things about this is that I'm pretty sure modders are going to find a way to elevate these two new features as well. Now, also keep in mind that they added 10 new vehicles into Autofixer for you to purchase, but also keep in mind that these are not technically new vehicles, that those are vehicles you can find in the game right now, but you were not able to purchase them before, and these are the vehicles. When it comes to vehicles and driving, they also added another amazing feature, and that's that Johnny is going to now start appearing in your vehicle as you drive, and he's going to, well, comment on various things which you do during your driving. So if you hit a wall, if you run over someone, if you cause a collision, he's gonna be around to tell you that you pretty much suck and make a nice gesture. I think because, well, we have this relationship with Johnny and we have the chip inside of us, I think it's really nice that this is added because, well, it's going to raise that immersion. Honestly, this is something which was missing throughout the game because, well, if Johnny is going to be in a relic together with us. It makes every single sense that from time to time he's gonna be appearing even when he's not needed to. Now CDPR already added some of those things in the past, like for example having Johnny in your apartment playing guitar, but to also have him here is a very nice thing to see. So you're going to see like in the gameplay a few things which I heard, but keep in mind there is a lot more which I'm sure we're going to discover. And also because he is available in the photo mode, you can take a photo with Johnny while he is in your vehicle. And one of the funny things is that he actually sometimes appears in the front, sometimes in the back, so you can really have some funny situations with this. Now also moving from Johnny, they overhauled photo mode a lot, and I think this is something that a lot of people who do like photography in Cyberpunk were requesting. I know that for example images I take for my thumbnails and everything else, I have to use a lot of mods for it to work properly because, well, you have to spawn people, you have to set the scenes and the atmosphere and everything, which wasn't so easy to do before because, well, even though it had a lot of options, the camera movement, for example, was very much limited. So right now let's go through all of the biggest features. So drone camera is now a free camera instead of an orbital camera centered around V. Before you had, well, a certain limit which you can go to, and this was frustrating, especially if you wanted to have more things in the scene. And for a lot of those things, as I said, we had to use a mod which is going to enable that, you know, free camera. But now, as you can see, it is available within the photo mode itself, and the camera range which you can utilize towards, like for example, one location is also increased, making it really cool. And I think this is going to be also very appealing to use later on if I want to do some gameplay footage, or maybe I want to do some scenes for my lore video, so this is a big plus. They also added full collision for the camera, because before every single object which was around the camera, well, it was stopping it because it was colliding, but now you can turn it off or on and you're going to have a lot more freedom to set up that scene. You can also lock camera down, because if you want to avoid any misclicking and ruining the frame, because I know for me this was happening a lot, especially if I'm trying to set up more characters towards the scene, this was causing issues. They also added precise camera. Basically this means that it slows the camera down for easier aiming. This is also going to be really nice during some gameplay recordings, but for the photo mode it's going to allow you for a much more pinpoint precision on what you want to have. They also added aspect ratio, but keep in mind this is for PC only. Sadly, this is not available on consoles. I do like these options a lot, especially because, well, even if you don't know, the virtual photography for Cyberpunk is extremely popular even to this day, so this is a big plus. We also have the characters tab, meaning that we can spawn up to 3 NPCs for our image, with over 20 characters we can choose. And of course we can adjust everything which we can with our main V, that being expression, pose and position. If we take a look at this, we have many characters from the main story: Panam, Johnny, Jackie, including Adam Smasher, which is, well, going to be very interesting of kind of images people are going to take. But yeah, also Adam Smasher and some of the others have some unique poses you can check out as well, because it kind of makes sense that Adam is gonna have these poses, especially because, well, other ones, you know, they can be goofy. But I do like this. This is a lot more like opportunities for the photo mode, which was not available, especially if you're playing this game on console. You were not able to take photos that people take on PC, so yeah, this is big. And besides that, something I was definitely not expecting, it's the light. So you can set up to 3 lights with different modes, and this is going to also help the scene because, well, from time to time as you're taking images, you're going to have an amazing background, but the problem with backgrounds is that the person in front of that background is not going to be lit up, and it's not going to be really good for the image unless you're going for that style. So now if you add the light source, or well, this reflector to the scene, you're able to make the light exactly how you would if you were doing photography IRL in a studio or out basically in the world. And all of those images you take, you're gonna be able to put them in what they call SmartFrames. So this is a new technology by Kiroshi which allows you to display your photo mode shots in your apartments. So as you can see in the gameplay, you go into an apartment and here I can basically go and select images I have taken to put them in the scene, and I'm pretty sure people are going to be posting some really funny images of like things they're going to frame, and I'm sure Panam is going to be one of them, especially when we meet her for the first time. So you have the screenshot folder which you can select these images, and basically this is really cool for the story depending on where you are currently, and maybe if you finished everything and you want to remember some things from the past, this is going to be, well, thing you can do. Keep in mind that all of these smart frames are throughout all of your apartments, so don't forget to check them all out and, you know, make them as you wish. When it comes to character customization, this is something that people were requesting a lot, especially when it comes to Cyberware and when it comes to other features you can put on. Now do keep in mind that they didn't really put, like, for example, hand Cyberware that people were expecting, and I don't think that's going to be happening until Cyberpunk sequel, where I maybe hope it is going to be something they consider. And this Cyberware is going to range from the big styles of Cyberpunk, that being style over substance, etc, etc. Now a lot of those options are also going to be corpo friendly, so if you want to sport your favorite corporation Night City, well, now you can do this. Well, it's kind of funny that this is added, but makes totally, you know, sense for the lore perspective of Cyberpunk universe, because, well, as Sasuke actually said in the live stream, your body is pretty much a product in this universe, and, well, if you want to put Arasaka on yourself, feel free to do it. And with this, they also added a randomizer into the character creator, and here you can see that you can pretty much change which actual options from the character creator you want to randomize. This is cool because it's not going to randomize everything, only specific parts. I think this is a really nice thing for all of the other games in the future that have character creation might include. And they added more secrets to discover in Night City. Now, I found some, but I'm not going to spoil them right away. My next video is going to be about all of these new secrets because, well, I want people to discover some for themselves. So these were the biggest features in update 2.2. Now, after this, we're gonna be going to quest and open world changes, as well as some of the mission changes and fixes, which we're gonna be talking about in the next portions of the video. But for the time being, let's begin with the quests and open world. So they rephrased objectives for quests that tell you to wait a specific amount of time to progress. The game is designed in a way that doesn't always allow players to simply skip in-game time to advance the objective, instead requiring them to continue playing to trigger the next event. Honestly, this wasn't really a problem for me, but it does make sense that some people were confused about some things not happening right away, and they needed more time, you know, to pass in the game for it to properly work. But for some things, it simply wasn't working. I think one of those missions before, at least, that a lot of people were talking about was with Takemura, where he didn't call you right away because, well, you needed to do some things first. When it comes to Cyber Psycho sighting, where the bodies hit the floor, one of my favorites, they fixed an issue where no shard could be found on the Cyber Psycho body, blocking progress, so this is good. When it comes to Dream On, the Trauma Team AV on the roof will now be properly hidden in stealth mode. This is good. Very nice to see because, well, makes sense from the lore perspective. Speaking of Phantom Liberty specific changes, well, we're going to start with the Balls to the Wall quest because, well, every single update since, well, expansion came out, this quest was always on top. So they fixed an issue where it was impossible to exit the elevator and talk to Yuri because, well, of an invisible wall. This is fixed. Firestarter, they fixed an issue where fast travel could be blocked if players save the game soon after exiting Reed's car. Gig waiting for Dodger, after being freed, Bill and Charles are now more mindful of their driving and avoid running over Dodger's goons, preventing any unnecessary combat. Yes, this was the case previously where they just zoom out and, well, they cause issues for the quest, especially when it comes to the decision you made. Hi-ho, silver lining, as always on this list, the VIP section in the Heavy Hearts Club will now be accessible to players who couldn't meet with Mr. Hands due to a keycard being required to use the elevator. I've seen that phase before. The garage door preventing players from reaching the meeting point will now be open. Run this down, the elevator in the Heavy Hearts Club is now back in service, so we can finally meet with Mr. Hands. Somewhat damaged fixed an issue where the prompt to unplug the cables from neural network system was missing, and the Killing Moon fixed the issue of a wall blocking the path when carrying Songbird to the shuttle. Speaking of gameplay fixes, they fixed one of the katana finisher animations so that it properly decapitates enemies. This was happening a lot in my gameplay, where basically like the sword goes through the character and nothing happens, and there is actually a skip in the animation where the head is just kinda gone and you cannot see the full like animation loop, and it wasn't looking good. So this is definitely fixed, and after looking at it like in the gameplay, yeah, it now works. Iconic synapse burnout and iconic system collapse quick hacks will now be properly affected by RAM cost reduction buffer because they weren't before. The icons for tier 5 plus and plus behavior imprint synced faceplate will now be visible on the hood while driving. Very nice. They fixed an issue causing the synaptic accelerator to stay active indefinitely if the player is detected while not in combat. Yes, I was actually able to recreate this bug a while back, so this is how it looks. So yeah, now this is fixed. And they fixed an issue where NCPD could stop functioning properly after V engages in a shootout in Pacifica between the Voodoo Boys and Trauma Team. Speaking of miscellaneous changes, they fixed the issue where TV program sound was muted or too quiet. Before, people had to install a mod for it, but now, well, you won't have to. And because they were doing a lot of work with CrystalCoat's tech, they fixed an issue where CrystalCoat did not apply properly after entering a vehicle. Also, due to the popular demand, they have lowered the Trauma Drama high score, so now, well, you're gonna be able to be first a bit easier, but to be honest, I know people were doing it kinda easy, especially because Trauma Drama is one of the games I used to play growing up, or well, the style of game is something I played growing up, like Metal Slug for example, so this is really cool to just go back to and, you know, be first. Also, they adjusted V's mouth movement in various scenes, including the endings. They fixed the issue of voiceover cutoff during Ebonica station announcement on N-card, and they fixed ray trace shadows for V in photo mode. When it comes to, at the end, PC specific changes, you will now be able to properly rebind W and S to different actions other than their default settings in the vehicle category. They optimized threading systems to improve performance by up to 33% on Intel Arrow Lake based CPUs, so if you have one, well, let me know down below in the comments if this actually gave you an increase in your performance. And they also added more Razer Chroma effects for some sections in Phantom Liberty and romance scenes, being that, well, they did have a partnership with them a long while back, so I'm thinking this is still ongoing. Now, I also know that people who watch my channel are also modding the game, or well, a big bunch of you, so this is something that CD Projekt support actually released concerning mods. We're excited to deliver the newest update 2.2 to you, and we hope you'll love it. However, we also know that you love playing Cyberpunk 2077 with mods, which is why we decided to temporarily enable until end of January a beta branch of the game on Steam, letting you revert to 2.13, which is the old build, while modders work on updating their content to the newest version of the game. You can also revert to the older versions of the game on GOG because, well, GOG is, well, you know, DRM free, so plugging it in. Keep in mind that only the latest version of the game is fully supported, as it contains all of the latest improvements, fixes and changes. If you encountered any issues on an older version of the game, make sure to update it first. So this is important. If you don't want to update right away, don't do it. You can leave it like this, but also keep in mind that this, because of the scope of the update and some of the changes they have made, there is a good chance that some of the mods are not going to work straight away. So I would wait a day or two until modders actually fix all of this up and update their mods to the latest version of the game, so it's all going to work. So this is update 2.2. Honestly, I was surprised that they're going to release anything like this after the majority of support for the game was over, but you can see now that they were able to do it alongside Virtuous Games. Of course, I know some people maybe expected more things, but keep in mind that they said long time ago that if they see something cool that they want to have in the game, they're going to include it, for as long as that, doesn't take too much time, because they have to move on to different projects, because ultimately it's not only up to the developers, it is also up to the board of directors and everyone else who is involved in the company to, make those decisions. Yeah, let me know down below what do you think about all of this, about all of these features, and keep in mind, as I said, I'm gonna be finding all of those secrets and expect a video very soon showcasing all of the stuff which I haven't mentioned in this video added in my next one. So as always, thank you for watching, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the video for everything Cyberpunk 2077. Check us out on our social media, and also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I'll see you later, chums. Bye bye.